Hello, my lovelies. Welcome back to another episode of Evil Lives Here. I feel like it's been months since I've done one of these, and really it's only been a couple weeks, but this has just been a crazy last couple months. We've discussed it in that last video. If you didn't check it out, go back, hit your girl up, find out where I've been, why I disappeared on you. But my goal is to get on schedule, keep a schedule, get back to it. So that's what we plan to do. So for those of you that are new, my name is Erin, and on my channel we can either discuss something evil or something beauty, or it could be anything in between. I've got a lot of ideas flowing through here for some get ready with me topics to discuss, and I'm kind of excited about it just because it's not, evil. We discuss a lot of evil. But I'm an equal opportunity kind of gal, so I like talking good, bad, and ugly, right? Those of you that are my regulars, welcome back. Thank you for staying with me, for following me, for being here for me. Truly appreciate it to the bottom of my heart. You guys don't even understand. As I grow this channel, as I try to become a regular topic, get some exposure, you guys are amazing. The way you share and like and comment on my things, so I appreciate that. So today we are discussing The Evil Lives Here, season 3, episode 5, My Son's Prisoner. And I believe, I didn't write it down, but I believe this aired the end of January. I wanted to say the 27th. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's in 2018. So I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, don't forget to hit that like button and share it for those friends of yours that might enjoy it as well. And go ahead and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of the new upcoming great things that I'm hoping to get before you. And you can just be aware of what I'm cooking up and what I'm doing. Always be in the know. So stay tuned to that, and shall we get into this episode? Okay, so we start this episode talking to Shelly Lights, I believe is the last name. She's the mother of the protagonist that we are going to be talking about, Derek Campos. So she starts out by saying that she's actually nervous about talking about this on this show. And we learned that this happened in 2012. So again, this episode aired in 2018. So it's still pretty fresh at that time, to her family, to everybody. And definitely be fresh in her mind, and I can see where she would be concerned and worried or whatever. And she even says her ex-husband called her and says, why are you bringing this up? Why are you talking about this? What good are you wanting to do? And I guess that's what we'll get into with this story, right? So she says that when Derek was a kid, and I think she specifies later on about this, but she says she didn't like him. And then she states, she says, and what kind of mother says that about their child? And as a mother myself, I get how hard that would be. I don't know what if I could ever say something like that. But this is her story. This is, things that happened to her. So we'll forget what I can do, because I need to state this. Through this whole story, I do a lot of, I hate to use the word judge. I really do. But I do a lot of it, and I question some things, and I say, well, what if this had been done? What if that had been done? Could things have been different? And so I tried not to do that, and when I caught myself doing that, I'm going to say I did try to back off of it. With any story that you hear, there is going to be that, well, if you'd done this different, or if that had been done different, or, whatever. And in this story, there's a lot of that can be said. And I'm just going to say I tried to back off of doing that. It's not fair to anybody involved. I mean, this is an absolute awful story. So if you see that I do that through this story, please forgive me. As a mother, I just don't know what I would have done. I'd like to think I would have done some things different, but I always try to say this, and I always try to remind myself, this is not my story. This is not my truth. So how I would react to these stories is not obviously, a lot of times completely different than what actually happened in the story. So again, I'm going to try my best not to be judgmental, and I just want to throw that out there because I'm sure as we go through this, you will do the same, because I'm going to try not to be judgmental, but I'm going to ask those questions like, why did she not do this, or why, just because I think it's a valid question, but I'm going to try to do it without being so judgmental. So anyways, I just wanted to add that as a mother, as a parent, father, I don't care what you are, I have a feeling that you would find this story extremely difficult as well. So there is that. So now let's get back to it. She tells us that as a kid, he was very happy. And apparently when she went to college, her first year of college, she ended up getting pregnant. And she had Derek, and apparently she was a single mother. I don't know if, I don't remember if she said that she went on and graduated with her degree, or how she survived that, because at some point, being a single parent, being that young, I don't know if it's her parents or how she did, but she did. And so she was a single parent, she got pregnant. The dad, to my knowledge, has never been in this story. So he was a happy kid. And she says the older he got, he became destructive, angry, belligerent, he had no emotions, he showed no affection. She said it was just the weirdest thing. She said something like, when he was little, and she showed pictures of him as a little, she said, he had these bright blue eyes, they lit up, they were happy, they, showed expression, showed emotion. She said, but the older he got, those eyes, she called them like dead eyes. And it was really kind of weird because you could see the expressions on these pictures. Just pictures when he was younger and he was happy and these bright glowing eyes. And then as he got older, they were just like nothing. It was like looking in there and seeing nothing. And it's actually kind of scary. So, but she said that she usually gave in to him. And by that, she felt she needed to give him everything he wanted. She never argued with him. So, a little background to that, because I needed to know what would make a mother want to give into a child that's, belligerent or destructive. There's stories here I'm getting ready to tell you that you can understand. So I needed to understand why she felt that she needed to give him everything. And she says when he was 7 months old, he almost died. And he was airlifted to the local hospital. I believe they're in Wisconsin, because she mentions Wisconsin quite a bit. And she almost lost him. So because of that, she really thought she needed to cater to him in everything he wanted, even if she knew it was wrong and his behavior was wrong. Okay. So she tells us a story of them at a store. And, she says, and this is part of where she was a single parent. She says, they were there. She was on a budget. She was grocery shopping. And he found this toy truck that he wanted. And she said, I didn't have any extra money for it, and told him no. Well, he threw a fit. He started slamming the toy on the ground, eventually breaking said toy. Yeah. So what does she do? She buys it for him. She says, I know it was wrong. She said, but I think she was just like, it was easier. Just easier to buy it for him. So then she tells another story of how she had a girlfriend come over and her friend brought her son, and they were in there playing. Now, she tells us that Derek was very, I don't know if OCD is the right word, but so he would have all these toys. Say his, she showed things like little green army men and trucks and stuff. And she said he was very meticulous about where these toys went. Like, he would lay them out, he'd set them up specifically, like almost like a showcase, right? But he never played with them. He just constantly displayed and played with these toys, or put these toys out and just sit there and, I guess, look at them. I'm not really sure. But she said when her friend come over and her son come over, they went to the bedroom to play, and the son started playing with some of the cars that he had displayed, which really upset Derek. And Derek proceeded to beat up the kid. Got into a fight because he had the audacity to play with his toys. So, you know, Shelly's like, yeah, I broke it up, and I don't know what I would have done if I had been the friend's mother. I really don't. But anyway, she said Derek stayed in his room the rest of the night guarding his toys, and the little boy sat in the living room with her and his mother all night. I don't know. And this, you know, probably less to do than what Shelly does in this situation, which I don't know if she actually does anything. But what would you have done if you were the parent and you brought your kid over and he got beat up by this boy for having the nerve to play with his toys when, you know, they were told to go play in the bedroom? I don't know. I want to say for me, I probably would still stay friends with Shelly. I don't see me not being friends with her over this. I do see me taking my son home that night. And I do see me not letting him play with him anymore. And I think that might just be, I don't know, I find that a very reasonable reaction to what happened, right? I don't feel like that is unreasonable or questionable in any way. Protecting my child, and that's obviously getting him out of the situation instead of keeping him there. Because, I mean, I don't know. But anyways, it's just a couple stories that she told, and I wanted to relay back. But Shelly says that she started dating this guy named Robert, or you'll hear me call him Bob, too. So I kind of go back and forth because she did when she was talking about him. And it was the first guy she had brought around Derek. So she's like, she was nervous, but she was convinced Derek was going to like this guy. I don't know why she would have been convinced that. I mean, nothing in Derek's history would make me think he'd been okay with that. But she says that when she brought Bob over and introduced him for the first time, she said Bob went over and playfully, touched Derek's head and was kind of, playing, and as I do that, you can see I need to get my reeds done, but playing in his hair. And she's like, what are you doing? And Bob jokingly says, I'm looking for his 666 symbol. And Shelly says, I laughed it off. She said, but thinking back on it, I think that's when I realized that there was something wrong with Derek. That he wasn't a normal kid, that, that's not just a comment someone makes. And I'm sorry, I'm playing with my lashes. But, she never, I guess she never really saw the signs. I don't know. She chose not to think about it. She chose to think, haha, it was a joke, way funny. I don't think I would have been quite as funny if someone says that about my child. But hey. Anyway, so she starts dating Bob, and they're getting pretty serious. And she says, Derek never had rules or structure until Robert came in the picture. And she clearly admits it. She's like, yeah, she says, that was the first time anybody would tell him no. Or, lay down the law and make him do what he was told. So I think I think it's fair to say that Shelly really kind of let Bob try to raise or control Derek, because she clearly had no control, and she says it. She does. So anyways, it's not judgment. That's truly what she says. But when Derek and Bob got into fights, it was clear she took Derek's side, and she even says this. So, okay, I'm not there yet, but I'll tell you a quote that she says that is just really heartbreaking in many ways. So, anyway, she tells us that when Robert wasn't around, Derek did some awful things. So she tells the story of one morning, or Christmas morning, she wanted to go get him the new PlayStation that was out. You know, that was going to be her big gift to her son. And at this point, I should say, Bob and Shelly are married. And she never really states how long they were married, or, you know, at this point, how long they had been married when this event happened. So that morning, so she said that, you know, it was probably Black Friday. She got up early, sat outside the store at 5 a.m. or earlier, whatever, to get this PlayStation. She was so excited to give it to him, right? So Christmas morning comes around, and, you know, Derek's running down. He's excited. He wants to open presents, and Bob tells him, we're going to have breakfast first, because he had set and he had cooked this big breakfast. And Derek started throwing a fit. I don't want breakfast. I don't want breakfast. Yada, yada. So they got into an argument. And Derek was young. I want to say, I don't know. These reenactments are really hard to tell how old they are. But my guesstimate, I don't know if he was 10 yet. Say that. But I really should have got all the glue off these lashes before I got on camera, shouldn't I? Anyway, so Bob makes him come and sit at the table and says, you do not open presents until you eat. And Derek said, fine. And Shelly says he sat there all day. Never ate nothing. He had, apparently think it was like scrambled eggs. And he never ate, he never moved, he never did anything. And bedtime come around, it was time to go, and he never got his presents. So the next morning, Bob was at work, which I don't really know what Bob did for a living. But he was gone, so Shelly goes up and she gets, what's his name? Derek? Sorry, I'm trying to do this kind of thing I have to think about. But she went up and she got Derek and told him, it's a new day, it's a new morning, let's go open our presents. And she said Derek was still extremely angry, right? Which, yeah. I absolutely have no doubt that he was extremely angry. So she said he went down and he opened that PlayStation, and he was still so mad, just so mad. And he completely destroyed it, slamming it, tearing it. She said it was in pieces. Said it broke her heart, because she sat outside for hours getting this just for him. It was a big present, and he did that. So what does she do? I don't understand when she says this, but she says she called them, I guess, store, told him it was broken when it was received shipping. They just found it on Christmas morning, and they replaced it. So she got him a new one. And when the new one come in, apparently he was over being mad and was extremely happy about it. About getting the new PlayStation. So she definitely, and I'm just going to say this because it's clearly obvious, she was part of the problem. She wasn't, I don't know. I don't think I would be lying or speaking or being too judgmental by saying that she was part of the problem. She says it. She knows it. So it's extremely heartbreaking when, as a parent, anytime something's happened with my kids, and I find out that I could be part of the reason that it happened, or, you know, led up to certain events, I'm heartbroken, you know, and I can only imagine that she was too. I mean, but again, so obviously, you know, when she tells us that Derek and Bob's relationship was contentious, it's not very surprising, right? I mean, they apparently fought a lot. And she said Bob never laid a hand on Derek, ever. She said, but Derek, as he got older, really wanted him to, I guess is the way to say it. Like, Derek would fight with him, get in his face, say things like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Hit me, you know, whatever. And she said Bob never did. She said, but this one part of my lash does not want to stay down. She says, but, and she states this, that she always sided with Bob, or with Derek, against Bob. She said, so whenever anything happened, she would always take Derek's side. In all honesty, again, I'm not judging. I'm being very honest here, and I hate that I have to keep saying I'm not judging, because I feel like a lot of times it comes across that way. But to be fair, she's not making anything easier on herself, her marriage, her son. There's nothing about taking sides in this situation that's helping her. But again, I can only repeat what is going on. So, okay, where am I at? What am I doing? Come back to this when I do this. I should have sorted this out, shouldn't I? This is the quote I wanted to say. Shelly said this, and I quote, "It was more important to me that Derek was happy, not Bob," end quote. That lash is going to be the death of me. So again, it's not good. It's not good for Bob. It's not good for Derek. It's not good for Shelly. Things are just simply not good in this household. So, where am I at? Eventually, Derek met a girl and fell in love. Her name was Maisie. She was a couple years younger than him, and they're both in high school still. And Shelly says she was so happy that Derek found somebody, and that he was happy, he was smiling, he was, you know, all the things that she honestly thought he didn't have in him. Like, she did not think he had it in him to be happy, to, you know, love somebody else. She said, she just wasn't sure if he was able to feel anything. Okay. But anger. He had an anger issue. So she knew he could feel anger, but she didn't know he had any other emotions. And it made her happy. Now, to no one's surprise at this point, her and Bob were divorced. Yeah. That was leading to a bunch of nowhere. And I know we all pretty much knew that going in. So Derek got Miss Maisie pregnant. And I will say, because I'm just going to state it right now, she was like 16. And there's a reason why I'll state that. And I think he was 18. So Shelly says that when he got her pregnant, she was thrilled, just thrilled, and she offered for them to live with her under the condition that they both finish high school. So and helped around the house. That's not a bad request, right? I mean, I probably would have done the same in that case, but I was never forced to make that decision. My kids do not have any children at this point. But anyways, I'm not sure about this. Foundation's not wanting to go on very well. So they did. They lived with her, and it states clearly that this was, having them move in with her would soon become the biggest mistake of her life. And I agree with this. This was the beginning of the end for her and everybody involved. So she says that he was a great father to their son. And the little boy's name is Gabe. And Derek. And he was a great father. And while Maisie was at school or working, because she worked too, he took care of Gabe. I guess he didn't work. I mean, does that surprise anybody? But Maisie worked when, like summer or after school or whatever, and Derek took care of the son, which is great. I'm not going to take that away. Good for him for being a father. But Shelly said at this point, they were really happy. And them being Maisie and Derek. But it didn't take long before things started falling apart. And, hey, I'm doing this episode of Evil Lives Here. We got to get to the evil sometime, right? And so far we just know that we have a guy that's mentally unhinged, but hasn't done anything evil yet. Well, let's just find out exactly what evil he did that earned him his own episode in this series. So, Derek became very controlling at the house. I mean, Shelly says everything had to be his way. So, like, she would tell the story that, she would get up before them. And she would sit in the living room or whatever room in her house. And she'd open up the curtains. And she would, like, read or do something. And he would get up and he'd come storming in there and slam those curtains shut and tell her they are not to be opened. Whatever. Right? And she let him do it. All right. I gotta go fix this lash. Okay, hopefully that does it. Normally I don't have that kind of problem with lashes, but it doesn't matter how long you've been wearing lashes, they have a mind of their own. Anyways, let's get back to the story. So, he is extremely controlling, right? And, I mean, even to the point where they can't have curtains open without his prior approval. I don't know, I just find that funny. My house, damn it. Anyways. He was also very controlling of Maisie. So she was not allowed to do anything but go to work and come home. She wasn't allowed to hang out with her friends. And if she, didn't come home on time, it was a big old fight. So, Shelly says it was just constant turmoil living with Derek. Said that, sorry, my watch is on there and made noises. She didn't think Derek and Maisie loved each other anymore. Maybe Derek did, in all honesty, but she was pretty sure Maisie was over it. But she was thinking of her son, and taking care of him. And remember, they both lived with Shelly, so I don't know Maisie's family situation. It's never mentioned. I didn't look it up. But, yeah, she's pretty reliant at this point on Shelly and living with them. And she said, you know, it was just constant turmoil. And once Derek started fighting with Maisie, he started fighting with his mother. And he apparently was a vicious fighter. So, like, name calling and just... So, apparently living with Derek was pure hell. And Shelly had started drinking, and she actually, you know, developed a drinking problem over the years. And Derek would just be like, you're useless. All you do is drink. You know, just fighting and trying to control. He was controlling everybody. And he'd call them names, both the ladies, and belittle them and start fights with them. I mean, it was a very contentious house to live in. Oh my God, that's awful. It just breaks my heart. One day, so we know that verbal abuse very rarely ends there. It starts to take a physical form. And in Derek's case, I just realized I'm missing something. Anyways, I'm sorry. And in Derek's case, it was coming to that. Now, she never said that he physically hit her or Maisie. So I'm going to put that out there. She never says that. But what he did was more mental warfare right now. So apparently he developed an obsession with guns. And he bought his first AK. I think she said 47. I'm not really sure. He was young. Because he was 19 when he started the... well, no, wait a minute. I sit there and I say that he started his physical threats against... He was just threatening her. That's right. He would tell her that... Like, he would say... Okay, let me tell you the story of the gun. This all leads back together. My point here is he was like 19. So I kind of got off track because I saw how old he was. But he got a gun. And she said she came into her kitchen, her being Shelly, and he was in there cleaning his gun. You know, she wasn't real thrilled he had a gun in the house. They have a kid, you know, and he's got it out in the open, and he's cleaning it, and he's very, very happy with his gun. She says she gets in the refrigerator to get something, turns around, and he's sitting there with this gun in her face and threatened her. And told her that she better start sleeping with one eye open because he just might come in there one night and slit her throat and kill her. And she believed him. I mean, she completely believed him. She was a prisoner in her own home because she didn't want to do anything against him because he was her son. But she couldn't go anywhere. She didn't have anything. So she, like I said, started drinking heavily. And she admits, she said, alcohol was my escape. She said, that was my mental escape to get out of the ugliness that I was living in. Now, that's so sad. But, so she said she was so scared of him that she actually put a deadlock on her bedroom door on the inside. And she would lock herself in her bedroom and stay there and do nothing but drink all day. She said he would come by and he would knock and try to pound on her door, try to get in, and she wouldn't let him in, and he would start what are you in there drinking? You're useless, and whatever. And she said that was just the only way she knew how to cope. And I've got to question, did she still go to work? Did she leave to get out of the house at least to work? It's never stated. And that's just, I think, an honest question because she's being controlled by him. You would think she'd want to get out. And when she starts telling other stories, I think she does. But she never specifically says that she does. It's kind of weird. Anyways. she was locking herself up in her bedroom because she was terrified he was going to kill her. And he said that just as much. So, and at this point, he's been he's crazy. So, she says that she didn't think Derek would ever leave her house. She thought she would be 80 years old, Derek living in the house and her locked in her bedroom. That's how, literally what she thought would be her life. But her and Maisie became very close. So, I mean, that's why I'm saying she came out of her room sometimes. She made it sound like she stayed locked up in there, but she didn't, because she said her and Maisie would sit and talk. And maybe she let Maisie in. I'm assuming she probably did so she can have time with her grandson. Don't know. But she said her and Maisie became very close, and she thought of Maisie as a daughter, you know. And she knew that she was basically leaving Maisie at his hands. But she couldn't do anything to help her, which I find is just a piece of crap. Sorry. That was judgment. So she said one day they're talking, and Maisie tells Shelly that she needs to kick him out of the house. That he was going to end up hurting one of them. She was scared of him. She had the baby to think of, and Shelly needed to tell him to leave. No surprise she doesn't, right? This is her son. She's not going to kick him out. I mean, her whole life she's done nothing but appeased and took care of him and whatever he wanted. And later in, she even says, I always cleaned up his messes. If he broke something, if he threw a temper, I always cleaned it up. So there was no way she was kicking him out. And she says, you know, I know it was a bad situation, but never thought he was typically dangerous. She's like, I knew he was mean, but I never thought he was actually dangerous. I don't know. I don't know what would make her say that. Clearly he's threatened. He's not done anything on those threats. So maybe that's what she was thinking. That it was just all hot air and he wasn't ever going to follow through these threats. I don't know. That's just kind of my impression. My thought. So, okay. I didn't put any concealer on, but I don't think I need it. I might just set my eyebrows, or set my under eye, because I didn't do concealer. Sorry, I got distracted again. So she says that she didn't think that she was literally putting them in danger, but that he would never do anything. Then she tells this story. One day she went to, she had to have some kind of surgery. I want to say gallbladder. And she was gone a couple days because, you know, being in the hospital after surgery, whatnot. And she says she had a dog. And I really didn't want to hear this part of the story, right? I mean, I just didn't. And honestly, thankfully, she doesn't say much more than she went to have surgery and came back and the dog was gone. And the dog's name was Lucy. And he made up this story about her running away and, you know, never coming back. And she says they lived in that house 5 years, I think she said at that point. Lucy had never ran at any time during those 5 years, Lucy had never ran away. She says, I'm convinced he killed my dog. Because it was her dog. He hated it. She's gone for a couple of days. So, my point in telling that, she didn't kick him out of the house because she didn't think he was physically dangerous. He had never followed through with anything that he had threatened. And yet, she's convinced he killed her dog. You can't have it both ways. So she felt trapped. She felt completely trapped in her own home. And I know Maisie did too. Like, yeah, of course she did. And on Maisie's 18th birthday, she had decided she had had enough. So, the reason I said before that she was 16 and wanted to state that, because Gabe is 2. They've been living, she had been living with them for probably a little over 2 years because she moved in when she was, I'm sorry, I'm covering my mouth. So she had been living with Shelly and Derek for over 2 years because she moved in when she was pregnant. And she was 18, just turned 18, and she decided she had had enough. She, I got makeup on my, oh well. So, she moves out. She said she couldn't live anymore with Derek controlling her, and she was gone. But, she left that poor baby. She left that poor baby with that lunatic. Yes, Shelly's there, but Shelly does work. And, so, pretty much, I guess I shouldn't do that. Derek was home with that child every day. I really have a lot of feels about that one. Just left your child with a guy that is, you're scared of, for one, that's controlling. I just... Okay. Shelly says that she was jealous because Maisie was finally getting out and she would never be able to leave. But she let her go and knew she was leaving that child. I don't know. I'm just going to take a second to... That just goes right through me. I'm just going to leave it at that. Just leave it. She was young. Nope, I can't even say that. Cannot say that. Okay. All right. Back to the story. So Shelly, Maisie left Shelly to tell Derek that she was leaving him. And that she wasn't coming back. And she said Derek wasn't mad. Didn't break things, didn't throw temper tantrums. She said it was, he completely went into shutdown mode. She said it was even scarier. She said he was like, he was not there anymore. She said she kept waiting for him to explode. But what she got was complete and utterly nothing. She said one day she come home from work and Derek was acting really weird. Which at this point, how do you know what's weird and what's normal? But she said he was in the living room. She even said, he even had the curtains open. It was the weirdest thing because, not allowed to have curtains open in the house. But she said he was having a meltdown, is her exact words. And he was pacing and carrying on in the living room, just having conversation with himself, saying things like, Gabe will never call another man daddy. And he just kept repeating that. Gabe will never call another man his dad. And, you know, I have a pretty good indication of why he's saying that, but let's get to that. And so in a very odd move, in my opinion, Shelly decides to call her ex, Bob, and ask him to talk to Derek. Now, he and Derek did not get along. They, at none of this time in their relationship did they ever get along. So I'm very confused. Why are you calling your ex for help in this situation? But she did. And and Bob's like, yeah, sure, I'll call him, I'll talk to him, I'll see what's going on. So, you know, he's like, let me call him after work. Whatever. And he does. And then he calls Shelly back and he's like, what is it? Oh, he says, oh, Derek's just depressed. He'll be okay. Everything's fine. And at that point, I'm like, can anybody see these huge red signs, red flags that are waving in the air and glowing some neon, that something is seriously wrong with this unstable man? But everybody missed it. So we learned that Shelly did stop drinking and she put herself in AA. That is amazing. Good for her. I'm very happy for her. I think I'm done. So on the night of September 7th, 2012, she's at an AA meeting. And when she comes back, she notices Maisie's car was in the driveway, but Derek's was missing. Okay. So she says she goes up to the front door, or to the house to go in, and the front door is open. And she said that was weird. You know, Derek was very controlling. Things were not left open accidentally and whatever. But she said when she opened the door, she saw bloody footprints. So, of course, she's pretty freaked out. But she's like, he probably just got mad at Maisie, punched the wall, his hand's bleeding, whatever. There was bloody footprints throughout the whole house. So, not sure how hard she thinks that he would have punched that wall, but okay. Guess it's not impossible. But these were full-blown footprints, shoe imprints, the whole 9 yards. That would be a lot of blood. Anyways, so she says she follows these trails, these bloody footprints, in the house, down the hallway, leading to her main bathroom, or the bathroom, and the door was shut. But she said when she looked down, there was a puddle of blood at the bottom, and she said, you know, she freaked out. At this point, I would have called 911. Even knowing I'm going to go in and see if I can help whoever is in there that might be injured, I'm calling 911 because I'm not a medic. I'm going to want their, okay, how do I do this? What do I need to help them? She doesn't. That's okay. Instead, she goes into the bathroom and finds Maisie in the bathtub with her throat cut. She's dead. And there was no mistaking that, apparently. So she finally calls 911, and she doesn't think about Gabe until they show up. And I have no judgment there because she is in complete and utter shock. She just found Maisie dead. And I'd hope I would have thought of Gabe first. But she didn't, and that's okay. It really is. Everybody processes trauma so different. And this was a major traumatic event. But, so they start looking. The 911, or police, whatever. They're looking at the house trying to find Gabe, and they can't find him anywhere. So she kind of realized that Derek took the baby. He killed Maisie. He probably killed Maisie. He took the baby, and she was terrified that he was going to do something to the baby. So she's at the police station at this point, once they clean up, get everything. And we actually show video of her in interrogation, I guess, begging them to find Gabe. Look for Gabe. Something's going to happen to Gabe. He's got Gabe. Whatever. Over and over. She is seriously concerned with finding her grandson. She says, so the police eventually put out an Amber Alert. And a hotel clerk in a neighboring town in Wisconsin, I'm not sure where, I didn't get all these names. They said them, I wasn't familiar with them, so I just know Wisconsin. He called the police because he recognized Derek and Gabe. So the police showed up and went to the room, and Shelly says, I was terrified that Derek was going to do something, that he had done something, you know, that he had taken his child, that he was in there, he was killing him, killing himself, whatever. But Derek surrendered without a fight, was arrested, and baby Gabe was okay. So thank God. Nothing there happened. Derek still had on the bloody shoes that left the footprints all over the house. And his knife that he killed Maisie with was still in his car. And Shelly admits that her son is a murderer. So next we see interview footage of Derek in the police station where he's under arrest. He's in his orange jumpsuit. He's in interrogation room. And they let him call his mother. I honestly don't know how interrogations go. I just would have thought you wouldn't have any reason to have a phone. But again, I can see where the police would let you kind of bury yourself. If you want to make a phone call, they're going to, you know, sit in there and take notes. And that's what they did. But it's really wild seeing this one-sided conversation in there, and he's talking to his mother, and he was really playing it up. He was saying, I'm sorry for everything I did, and blah, blah, blah. He was apologizing, and even tells her that he loves her. Shelly said he was saying all the right things. He was saying he was sorry, but you can tell in his voice that he was not sorry, and she really didn't believe him. And then she says that it was the first time in his life he ever told her he loved her. And that broke my heart, because even as a kid, I mean, my kids, as soon as they started talking, they would say they loved us. So that was very heartbreaking to hear that he had never told his mother that. So personally, I think he was playing this up as a ploy, you know, for the police. Very smart kid. He was very smart, very well timed, knowing the police is in there listening, and you know. And Shelly says that she knew he was doing it, and he was saying he loved her because he needed her. He needed her to do a witness testimony. And by the time his trial approached, she had already decided she was going to. She had told his public defender she would be prepared to testify on his behalf. And my mind was blown. How can you possibly be a good witness testimony, or be a good witness and tell a testimony of him and his how good he is and what a great son he is? You would clearly be lying. I mean, there's nothing that she could have said in the way he grew up, the way he acted, the things he'd done that would be on his side. But she decided to do it. She says, even though I didn't like him, Derek, she didn't want him to go to prison. She said she always fixed everything for him. Whenever he broke something, whenever he threw a fit, whenever he wanted something, she fixed it. She got it for him. She made it right. And she still felt like she had to do that now. Eventually, she realized that by helping him, if she got him out of prison, it could be worse. A worse case than it already is. He's going to be on the streets. He's probably going to move back in with her and pick up the abuse that he started. What's to keep him from finding another girlfriend? What's to keep him from hurting Gabe? So all this was kind of going on in her head, and she's like, maybe I shouldn't do this. But the choice was taken from her, and I think it was probably a good thing, because she would have never been able to live with herself, whatever she did. But she got a text from a friend, she said. So it wasn't even the court-appointed lawyer. It wasn't even her son. It wasn't anybody but a friend that had heard this. And I was like, and you were going to be a witness character, testimony, whatever, for this guy who doesn't even think to let you know what he's doing. But he had decided to take a guilty plea in Maisie's murder. and was sentenced to life in prison with an eligibility for parole in 40 years. Which, I mean, clearly is not long enough. But I think he will be right at 60 when he's eligible for parole. But Shelly's like, I was happy. I was fine. She says, because in 40 years, I will probably be dead and gone and won't have to deal with his release, won't have to be around him, won't have to put up with his abuse. And such a terrible thought, because Gabe is still going to be around. And yes, he'll be an adult and a grown man. But wouldn't you want to be there to help protect him when his lunatic of a murdering father got out of prison? So Shelly tells us that she adopted Gabe, and now he's her little boy. And she's been raising him since he was 2. And at the time of this episode in 2018, I think he was like 8. So she said her goal is to make him as normal as she can. She freaks out when he does things that remind her of Derek. So she's trying to separate him from anything his father did and how he acted. She doesn't want him to become his father. She doesn't say specifically if she's keeping anything from him. Like, I don't know if Gabe knows or will know that his mother died because his father killed her, and the abuse and everything that she doesn't say that. And I guess that's fine. So I'm glad Gabe is in a stable house. I'm not going to lie there. I'm really happy that she took Gabe. She adopted him. Excuse me. I'm also very happy that she is hoping to do things different this time. I'm not blaming her. I am not saying anything would have been different if she had done different things. That's something all of us can make up our own decision on. Do we think if she'd been stricter, if she would have been harsher, if she had told him no, would it have changed anything? Or is he just a psychopath? I don't know. I'm not even going to try to judge or discuss that. All of us have our own opinions on that. But I really hope she's able to do different for Gabe than what happened with Derek. So Shelly says she carries so much guilt. And yeah, wouldn't we all? I mean, really. She said she loved Maisie like a daughter. Like, she adored her, and she was unable to save her. She thought by letting her go when she wanted to go, was her way of saving her. She says she really wishes she would have done things different. But no matter how mean he was, she really never did imagine he'd become a murderer. And even though she was scared of him, she thought his rage would eventually be taken out on her, not anybody else. So this is a pretty darn heavy story, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot here to unpack because there's, I'm a parent. I'm sure some of you all are parents. And we could go back and forth about this story, about how, but it doesn't change what happened. It doesn't change anything, and I don't know if it would have changed anything in the scheme of things. In the end, would it have made a difference? I can't say I think it would. Anyways, so we'll go on and look online, and I want to tell you I didn't find a whole lot, and I'll tell you why. So I start with the cinemaholic.com, and Maisie's official cause of death was a slit throat, and she was stabbed in the back. It doesn't state this. Anyway, this is my own opinion. So I think he probably stabbed her in the back to stop her from leaving. And then when she was injured and hurt, it's when he put her in the tub, probably slit her throat. So just my opinion. Nothing is ever stated otherwise. But it also states that Maisie was dating. And back to Derek having the meltdown of nobody else. Gabe will never call anybody else daddy. I had a pretty good idea, and I'm pretty sure all of us did. So, while behind bars for Maisie's murder, he was accused of soliciting a murder from inside the prison. He was going to hire his cellmate, give him a car, his AK-47, and $4,600 to go kill Maisie's boyfriend. So first he did claim not guilty. And that's when testimonies and everything's going on. But later he did take the deal for life in prison with the possibility of parole. And presently Derek is still in jail. And he has changed his name to Gabriel Campos. And is serving out his sentence at the Green Bay Correctional Institute in Allouez, Wisconsin. So I have to wonder if he changed his name to Gabriel because his son's name is Gabe. That's the only thing I can say. They never stated why he would change his name. That was my only thought process. So I also read that Shelly tried to help her son when he was young, which I hope is true. Says that she took him to therapy and none of it worked. None of that was mentioned in the episode, but I hope it's true. I hope she did try to get him help. And I'm going to say therapy is wonderful, especially if the person going is participating and wants to get better and, find out why things are the way they are in his mind or whatever. But if you're going and you are not doing any of that, it is a waste of time. So maybe that's why it wasn't mentioned, because it was just she took him, he didn't participate. There was really no need to talk about it. I don't know. So currently it states that Shelly has moved out to the country with Gabe. She's not on social media. She doesn't stay, she's very much isolated. She has purposely isolated herself from everyone, and her whereabouts are unknown to the exact location, and that's fine. So here I go to Wikipedia, but I didn't find exactly what I wanted. So unbeknownst to me, there is another Derek Campos. And he's a fighter, like an MMA type of thing. So the wiki page I found was for him and was useless. So we'll continue. I'm on a Wisconsin radio network channel now. And it says Derek was 20 when he killed Maisie. He was 18. She had graduated high school only a few months before her death. So, she probably would have graduated May, June, and she died in September. Gabe was 2, and Shelly raised him after that. Derek was the only suspect in the case. Not shocking. So isn't anything else that I find? All the articles that I stated was pretty much the same. And I guess it's because he wasn't a serial killer or, it's a pretty much open and shut case. The main story here was the background leading up to it and Derek's behavior and how he acted. So there really isn't much else on that I found. I'm sure there is, but what I found. And I think listening to the kid he was and the man he grew up to, I didn't have a doubt that he was going to end up murdering somebody. I too thought maybe Shelly. But then when he was so controlling over Maisie and things were out of hand, it didn't shock me that he ended up killing her, as sad as that is. And just a waste. Such a young life. It's just a waste. So I wish Shelly nothing but the best. I really do. And Gabe. And my quick math, again, math is not my subject, but my quick math tells me that Gabe would probably be about 12 at this date, because it's 2022. He was 2 in 2012. I could be wrong. But I hope they both have a good life. I hope they both able to live past what has happened with Derek and Maisie and be able to, have some kind of normalcy. I do worry about Derek getting out. If he gets out early, he's going to try to contact Gabe. Even if he gets out in 40 years, he's been in there 10 now. So I don't care how old any of us are. Something like that happened where our father that's in jail for killing our mother comes out and tries to contact us. It's going to be a little traumatic. Just a little. Anyways, thank you for watching with me today. It was such a heavy video, wasn't it? But I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and share if you did. Put it out there. Let the world see it. Let the world know what they think. I love hearing from every one of you, so please leave me a comment or private message me. I get both, and I'm absolutely okay with that. If you are on Facebook, you can check me out at Ageless Beauty with Erin on my Facebook page. I have a lot of older videos. That's mostly makeup content. I didn't start the evil part, the cults and the evil lives here, until I got to YouTube. So I have a lot of content on makeup over it in my Facebook, and I'm not thought to share it or bring it over. I'm doing new stuff now. So, but if you wanted to catch up on some old stuff, go check it out. But don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Keep in contact. Let me know what you're doing, so you always know what I'm doing if you subscribe. So, yes, Kips, I'm being paged by the goddess Calypso. And until next time, guys. Bye.